I tried every single device you could think of to draw on, and then I ranked them on a tier list to figure out which ones would be the best for someone looking to start digital art. I'm gonna be judging them based on their features, their price, and just giving my overall opinion whether it's worth using or not. Screenless tablets. Screenless tablets are the tablets that every artist has started with, and it's because they're just a really good and cheap way to dip your toes into the world of digital art. This one that I have is literally only $30. They do have a little bit of a learning curve because unlike paper and pencil, you can't see where you're actually drawing. You have to be looking up at the monitor that you're drawing on. And another thing is that these tablets are usually really small, like look at this fucking thing. There are bigger tablets and they usually cost more in the hundreds, but like, if you're gonna be investing that much money, just get an actual tablet with a screen at that point. However, because of these issues, I think people really underestimate how amazing these tablets actually are. It doesn't matter what tablet you use, whether it's large, medium, or average. Clip Studio Paint, Paint Tool Sai, these other ones that I don't give a shit about. They're all powerful pieces of software that create stunning art. And as long as you have a tablet that takes advantage of these software's features, you're good to go. While there is better options, screenless tablets themselves are still more than enough. And because of this, they are going in A tier. Screen tablet. This is how you know you made it. Screen tablets are pretty much the industry standard when it comes to digital art. If you know you're an artist, not like someone trying it out for the first time, like if art is your personality, you are going to need a screen tablet. You can see where you're drawing, the countless programs you can experiment with, the feeling of drawing on them. It all just feels so good. But there is one giant problem that I think everyone can agree is the biggest issue with these screen tablets. So before you can actually use the tablet, you need a decent computer. These types of tablets act more like monitors, so you need a separate PC to connect it to. And that's like a minimum of $600. The second thing you need is the tablet itself. And that's where things just get messy. The tablet that I have right now is about the average size of a low-end tablet. And tablets around these size cost like $300. And that's no joke. And I don't even like using tablets this small. Trust me when I say that using a 4K tablet will change your life. You can see everything that you draw, and they just have so much detail that anything you make just looks so beautiful on it. But the one that I have costs $2,000 fucking dollars. Another problem is that you need to have these tablets sit at your desk since they're not at all portable. But even with all these downsides, it is completely worth it. Screen tablets are going in S tier. You guys are going to fucking hate me for what I'm about to say to this thing. The iPad. So back in 2015, Apple released the first ever Apple Pencil, which means they were starting to lean into marketing their tablets more for artists. And this is actually the tablet where I started taking digital art more seriously. Here's the tablet I grew up with. This was around the time I first started my account Some Normal Artist. My favorite app to use was Metabang, and I spent over a year making illustrations daily. The nostalgia. But no, yeah, I fucking hate the iPad. My first problem is that you're stuck using the apps that Apple gives you. This means no Photoshop, no Blender, and even worst of all, no Paint Tool Sai. My second problem is that it just doesn't feel that fun to draw on. It's a weird middle ground between giving you just enough so that it doesn't feel like a fun challenge to draw on, but it also doesn't give you everything like drawing on the computer does. If you want something similar to Photoshop or Blender, you're going to be resorting to inferior apps. Whenever I draw on this thing, I just think to myself, damn, this would have looked a lot better on my computer. If you're gonna be spending $400 on a tablet and $100 more on a pencil, you're better off just buying a used laptop with Paint Tool Sai and some cheap ass tablet. And because of that, iPad is going in C tier. What kind of a masochist are you? Phone. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has a phone these days. So this kind of makes digital art a little more accessible. And wouldn't you believe it, there actually is a sizable community of phone artists out there. Most artists probably choose this option because maybe they can't afford like an actual computer, or maybe their parents don't support their hobby. But if neither of those apply to you, why? My main issue isn't drawing with your finger. In my opinion, you know, drawing with your finger is actually as easy as drawing with a pencil. My main issue is drawing on this small of a screen. And it's even worse because you have shit like this. You have fucking ads that waste more of your screen. If you want to draw more details, you have to be zooming in. And the problem with zooming in is that you don't know what the rest of the canvas looks like. You could be drawing the most perfect thing known to man, and then you zoom out and you see it just doesn't fit with the rest of the canvas. But to be fair, since these devices run on the same as their tablet counterpart, you are getting those powerful apps from the iPad, Metabang, Clip Studio Paint, all that. You're getting those same programs. So if you're really this dedicated to drawing on the phone, you do have a lot of power when it comes to creating good art. The thing is though, I, for the life of me, do not understand why you would ever willingly draw on this. And because of that, phone is going in B tier. I would like to apologize to every phone user I've offended. Mouse and keyboard. So you're telling me you were able to afford a PC and yet you still chose a mouse? A good mouse and keyboard is at least like $40. There are tablets cheaper than that. I will admit that yes, sometimes drawing on a mouse is fun. Do you ever have those nights where you and your friends just call on Discord and you're just drawing dumb shit in MS Paint?
Oh, he's cooked.
Mine looks like a loaf of bread.
Oh, his nose is gone. Oh, shit.
Fuck, I don't know.
Oh my god.
How many legs does he have?
I can't.
4 or 6?
I don't know, bro. I'll put 4.
And another thing is that since you're using a keyboard, you basically have infinite shortcuts. Good luck remembering them though, because I can't even remember what the fuck half of these buttons on my remote does. But the problem with using mouse and keyboard is that none of your muscle memory carries over to pen. Since mouse has no pen pressure, you never train your hand to know how much pressure you should be putting on a piece of paper. Another thing is that it's uncomfortable as fuck too. You're probably gripping the shit out of your mouse since you need to move it and also be holding onto this button. Although, once again, since you are on PC, you still have the option of all the amazing software like we said earlier. So you can create something amazing. But is it really worth it? You're basically sacrificing everything for nothing. So because of this, mouse and keyboard is going to C tier. The motherfucking 3DS. Where do I even begin with this thing? For most of you, this was your childhood. And for some of you, it was probably even an introduction to art. The amount of games dedicated to drawing on this thing was insane. You have stuff like Art Academy that literally taught you professional lessons to learn how to paint. There was also different franchises of Art Academy like Pokemon or Disney. I personally grew up with Pokemon, and it's where I spent most of my time learning how to draw. Holy shit, I don't fucking remember. There was also kind of like a social media platform for art on the 3DS, kind of like DeviantArt, but without, you know, the fetishes. But the game that everyone knows that was the GOAT of art was Flipnote. I invested so much time in this fucking game. This was my home growing up. This is where I learned how to draw. When it comes to animating, I'd rather just do it on something simple like the 3DS than, you know, something like Clip Studio Paint. The only problem with the 3DS is that it's a fucking 3DS. Compared to other options that you could have, the 3DS is just very small. Like, you're working with, like, I don't even know how long this is, 3 inches by 3 inches. That's not a lot of space to draw on. And if you're looking to get more serious, there's not a lot of, like, advanced features each of these games have. But honestly, if you're just like an absolute beginner and you're looking to get into digital art, if you have a 3DS lying around, pick it up. It is one of the best devices to just learn how to draw on. So because of its power, despite how easy it is to use, undeniably, it's going in S tier. The Switch. The Switch is actually top 3 for the best-selling consoles in history. This means that if you're watching this video, you probably have one lying around. If you're thinking about starting digital art, this might be the easiest way to do it. Now, you might be thinking, what, is this another phone situation where I have to use my finger to draw on it? Nope. This is Colors Live. This is the sequel to the 3DS game we saw earlier. The studio who made this game actually made a dedicated stylus to work with the Switch. And the best part? It supports pen pressure. Depending on how hard you press on the pen, it sends a sound signal to the headphone jack that registers as pressure. So what about Colors Live? Is it probably just some game for kids like the 3DS version? Wrong again. Fucking idiot. Colors Live actually has a lot of features that are similar to standard PC apps. You get multiple layers, you have a huge selection of brushes to choose from, and it still has that same social media feature so you can share your art with other people. One of my favorite reasons of drawing on this thing is because of the way you can use your Joy-Cons. Using a Joy-Con as a shortcut device just feels so natural. You can change your brush size. You can flip horizontally. You can set what each button does. My only problem with this way of drawing is that the stylus isn't as precise as it was on the 3DS because it has this little nib that's like a circle. I don't know why they did that. Other than this game though, the Switch doesn't really offer anything else in terms of drawing. This is pretty much the only art game that's been released on the Switch. If you have a Switch, you probably have a 3DS, and I feel like the 3DS just has more resources to learn art. And so because of that, I'm putting the Switch in B tier. VR. I'm really interested in how this is gonna turn out. So one of the biggest reasons I never touch traditional art is because of the fact that you have to buy so much shit just to draw what you want. Pencils, pens, paint, brushes, I don't wanna do all that. So this is where VR comes in. There's a lot of apps on VR that allow you to paint, but one of the most popular programs is something called Vermilion. It tries to replicate that exact feeling of painting, all while only having to pay $20. And I mean, I guess $300 for this too. I'm not really that skilled at painting, but with the time I had in Vermilion, damn does it actually feel good. The first thing that I tried painting in Vermilion was a tree, and you know, I can't fucking paint, so that didn't turn out that well. And so I guess God was telling me to just go back to my roots instead of, you know, trying something new. Of course, the only actual problem with VR is the lack of physical feedback. You're just kind of floating your arms there and not feeling anything, so maybe it'll be a little hard to convert this into being able to paint in real life. But once you get it down, I think this is actually a pretty viable option. If you're really interested in painting, I actually think this could be one of the best resources for you to use. VR is gonna go in A tier. E-ink. If you're a reader of some sort, you probably know what a Nook is. Those are like the reading devices that kind of mimic a book. It's been a trend recently to use that technology and make them into tablets that you can write on. I actually really like these because I'm a college student, so instead of having to carry like 50 notebooks around, all the notes that I take are on here. And if you're an artist, there is not one page in your school notebook that didn't have some stupid ass doodle on it. I have a shit ton of drawings on this thing, and honestly, it feels super fun to draw on. And I can even draw hands, which is crazy. It legit feels like just drawing on paper with some of the perks of digital art. You have layers, you have brush stabilization, you can resize stuff, but that's about where the perks end. Yes, while it feels really good to draw on, you can't really do anything else than just doodle. There's no colors, there's not a lot of pens that give that clean feeling of digital art. So everything that you draw just ends up feeling like, you know, a rough draft. And even worse, this thing was like $300 fucking dollars. There's like 7 people in the world who even cared enough to buy this thing. And for these reasons, I'm putting this in C tier. AI.